Are you ready to sharpen up for this program? So I want to go through my plan for this week and the how I think about this plan, how I come to my conclusions about what it is I'm going to do, and why. Every week is different. We've got different things going on in our schedule, different commitments. Sometimes it depends on what you have in your fridge. Like maybe I cooked on a Saturday, but we were extra hungry or we didn't go out and so there was no food left on Thursday. Maybe that food lasted all the way until the following Saturday and then I cooked on the Sunday. Maybe I've got a couple of clients in the day and there's just no way that I can actually fit in a 3-hour bulk cook. The example for this week, I'm going to stage my cooking into 2 parts today. I actually thought I was going to do it into 3 parts. And here's the thing. My oven is of a certain size. It will fit 2 medium like cookie sheets, baking sheets in width, and then you have 2 racks. If you have a bigger oven and a bigger family, I'm really jealous because you can get more in the oven and you can get more cooked. If you're living in a bachelor apartment, you're most likely going to have a very small oven. So there are a number of factors that dictate how you're going to cook depending on the tools you have. Like, for example, is it beautiful weather and do you prefer to do most of your cooking in bulk on your barbecue? If you have a barbecue, honestly, you really have it made because you can do so much on the barbecue so much more quickly. You get such great flavor cooking very simply, other than maybe just some basic seasonings, and all the mess is basically outside. But I'm going to go into some of these methods of cooking in an upcoming strategies video. But let's get back into my meal plan. I have pork tenderloin. It's 2 pork tenderloins, and I'm most likely going to season that. I've got a peach, an onion, a garlic, and some pineapple. So I'm going to chop up those things. That'll be the flavoring ingredients that go around. And I might do some Dijon mustard mixed in with that with a little bit of olive oil, mix that up, coat it, and I'll probably just put that into a large cast iron frying pan. The reason for the choice of the pan is also one of the methods or ideas and ways of thinking about cooking that you develop over time. The cast iron pan really holds the heat well, transfers heat very well, and something like pork tenderloin, depending on the size and the thickness, but can I get this really into the camera here? It's probably about, yay around, and then, it flattens down when you press it down as it's cooking, as it loses moisture. But at 350 degrees in the oven, it's probably going to take 40 to 50 minutes, thereabouts, to be just done, to be just past medium rare into medium, which is how I like it. Then I have a family tray pack of chicken, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chicken breasts. They're very large chicken breasts. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I'm probably going to keep it simple. Maybe just drizzle some olive oil and maybe some oregano, some salt and pepper. I'll take a baking sheet. I'll put some parchment paper on that, put the chicken breast on the parchment paper, and then I'll cover that with aluminum foil. And that does 2 things. The aluminum foil will help keep the moisture in, so you have a really nice moist chicken. It'll be a bit more of an even cook-through, and that's really important when you're cooking chicken. You don't want any red parts, right? So those are the 2 meats, and those 2 things will go on the top shelf or not on the top shelf, but kind of like medium to medium top in my oven. And on the bottom shelf of the oven, I've got a 3-pound bag of carrots. I'm going to take out 1 carrot, because I'm going to be using that for my cabbage salad that I'm making in another stage. I'm just going to trim the carrots. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to peel the carrots, trim the carrots, probably cut them in half, and maybe again, because they're really thick carrots this time, so I don't want them to take an hour in the oven. I'd like them to be done about 40 minutes. I will probably chop up an onion, put that on the bottom of the pan, and I think I might just cook that in a large glass Pyrex pan, and maybe I'll do the juice of a lemon or a lime and a little bit of olive oil and some sea salt, maybe turmeric, maybe cumin, maybe coriander. This is one of the ways of cooking very similar foods very simply, but changing the flavor profile. So let's say I commit today to roasting the carrots in the oven with olive oil, a yellow onion, sea salt, and turmeric. Well, next week I could change turmeric to chili powder with coconut oil instead of olive oil. I could use a red onion or no onion. This week I could use lemon juice. Next week I could use lime juice. Another week I could chop up a fresh nectarine or peach, maybe an apple. There's so many different things that you can try, and you just have to try and see what you like the most, what you like to give you variations. I have a head of cauliflower. Cauliflower roasted is my favorite way of cooking cauliflower. Very simple. That'll go in a glass Pyrex dish. Lots of sea salt, definitely olive oil. I think I'll keep it simple, but sometimes I like to put caraway seed in there. I find it gives it a nice little flavor. It doesn't need any moisture because you want it to roast dry. You could add some garlic to that if you want. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 medium red skinned potatoes. I'm going to scrub those really well. I'm not going to peel them. And then I'm going to chop them up into sort of cubes. I'm going to boil them with maybe about 1.5 inches of water. And then I'm going to mash them. And I'll add like maybe a tablespoon or so of butter, some salt and pepper, and probably some fresh ground nutmeg. So that'll be done on the top of the stove. Now, the reasoning for doing it all this way is this will be one stage of the oven. I'll have the meat on the top. I'll have the 2 vegetables on the bottom. That's it. When they come out, when the individual things are done and come out, I'm done. Often what I do is I actually have 2 stages. I've actually got 8 dishes that I'll be cooking. The first 4 go in, they're done at various times, and then maybe 1 comes out, then the 5th thing goes in. The other, maybe 2 come out at the same time, and then the 6th and the 7th go in. Finally, I get to put the 8th item in, and often that's something that might be done in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes or something. Maybe I'm cooking a thing of bacon. Finally, I have a couple of red peppers and orange peppers and some broccoli. My partner prefers those not cooked or maybe lightly steamed is an option. So you could be steaming that like in a bamboo steamer on top of the stove. I'm just going to clean them, wash them, chop them up, ready to eat, and then we could just grab a handful, put it on a plate, and then we put our meal in the microwave to heat up when we're ready. Later on today, what I'm going to make is a cabbage salad, and I'm going to prepare a cubed beef slow cooker stew that I'm going to make with red onion and celery and sweet potatoes. And I'm going to do that this evening, so that'll cook overnight and that'll be ready in the morning. That's kind of it. So I could have done these things in 3 stages had I needed to, because the cabbage salad will be just done with a food processor. And so that's the rationale behind my meal planning and preparation. Think, for example, let's say you decided to cook all of that at once on a Sunday. Something happens. Your mom calls, or one of your best friend calls, and they're in urgent need, or they're coming over, and you're like, shoot! How am I going to get all this stuff done? They're coming over at 4, but I've got to start my cooking at 2. So we've talked about how to stage meal preparation, depending on the available time that you have. Because it doesn't always have to be done on the same day. It doesn't have to be done exactly in the same amount of time, or that like from like 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. on a Saturday or a Sunday. It might be easier for you to break it up into parts. Or if you have more than one person living with you, they can come and help. So I will sometimes say to my partner, Christian, I need your help. Can you come in and wash some of the vegetables? Can you do some peeling? Can you do a little bit of this? Just to expedite the process, to make it a little bit faster. Next step after the meal planning, like how am I going to stage my cooking process, is the flow of the meal preparation process. So let's talk about the meal preparation process now. I've told you what I'm going to cook today in stage 1. Pork tenderloin, chicken, roast cauliflower, roast carrots, and then I'm just going to wash and clean peppers and broccoli to leave raw in a container in the fridge. Well, what will I do first and why? What I can tell you of the 4 things, 3 of the things are going to take about at least the same amount of time to cook. The chicken will take the least amount of time to cook. The chicken will take 25 to 30 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees. Now, when you have a full oven, that might take a little bit longer because it takes time for the oven to come back up in temperature. So it's very important that you preheat your oven. Try and minimize how long the oven door is open. If you have a convection oven, I'm very jealous because those things bring the heat up really quickly and they cook things through far more efficiently and far more quickly. What I often like to do is, here's my cutting board, nice clean surface. I like to do my vegetables first because all I really have to do is with my hand brush off into the sink and put into the organic recycling. And I don't really have to worry about scrubbing things down with soap and water because there's very little likelihood of bacterial transmission. Yes, you can wash things off if you want to and that makes you feel better, but I know what works for me. I know the state of cleanliness of my kitchen. You have to come to that determination. So if I prepare all the vegetables first, I can put the carrots and the cauliflower in the oven right away. The chicken, that's so fast to prepare. I open it up out of the package, I season it, I will put it onto the baking sheet, I could put that in the oven. But most likely the oven will still be coming back up to the proper temperature. So while it's doing that, then I will get the pork tenderloin ready. That won't take too much time. I'll open that up, I'll put that in the pan, and I'll chop up the nectarine, the other fruit, and the onions, and I'll throw that in the pan. So there's actually not a lot of preparation for those things. The most time will be cutting apart the cauliflower. The most work will be the carrots because I have to peel them, and then I have to cut the ends, and then I have to cut them in half, and then I have to cut up the onion. So that takes a little bit more time. The potatoes I will do last because while the stuff is sitting in the oven and potentially is taking 25 minutes to 30 minutes for the chicken and 40 to maybe 50, 55 minutes for the other things, vegetables, until they're done to the level that you like them, right? I like my vegetables a little bit still having a bit of crunch to them, so you have to determine that. So while that stuff is in the oven, hey, then I can do the potatoes and put them on the stovetop, because the time it takes them to boil to soft could be anywhere between 10-15 minutes, and that'll be happening and probably done, and things are still going to be in the oven cooking. That's it for this part of the video. Let this percolate. As you're thinking about what you've done in the past, and what you might be preparing to do this weekend. Maybe make some notes. What would you like to cook this weekend? Are there any recipes from my cookbook that you like? Are there some favorite recipes that you like to cook? And remember, we're going to use the KISS principle. Keep it super simple, right? The simpler, the better. The closer to the real form the food is, the better. And what I mean by that is you take cauliflower apart, you add olive oil and salt, and cook it. Done. You take chicken and you season it, you add a little bit of oil so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan or the barbecue grill. Done. You could add some sort of a sauce to the chicken. But how long will that take? Or there's my mango chicken recipe, which is the absolute favorite page on my website. That's just onions and either fresh mango or frozen mango chopped up. Boom, that goes in the oven, you turn it. Very simple, right? The ingredients are real, they're not processed. The only processing is your hands cutting things up and putting it into the container. This has been a long video, but did you find this useful? Please let me know in the comments.